As Dr. Mugula tells it, he arrived for work early one morning at the hospital in Monrovia and was told by an anxious colleague that a very sick man was admitted to the emergency department the night before. They realized he had all the symptoms of Ebola. He asked to see the patient.
The patient we're talking about is on an iron bed, and he's obviously sick.
Two other doctors, Abraham Borbor and Samuel Brisbane, joined him. They decided to move him into a small, empty room at the back of the ER.
So I reached for a pair of gloves and grabbed for a gown, and Dr. Borbor, who's the head of medicine in the emergency department, and he said, "There's no way you're going to be touching this patient."
Dr. Mugula pulled back. He turned to help two custodians put their protective gear on. They'd been called in to help move the patient. They got to work helping Dr. Borbor move the patient into the isolation room.
But as they do that, they realize when they get to the door, the bed is too wide to actually fit through the door.
And so they ditched the idea of moving the bed and instead picked up the mattress with the patient on it and tried to carry him through the door that way.
Dr. Brisbane, who's sitting next to me and who hasn't gowned up, he grabs a pair of gloves and puts them on, and he grabs the mattress and kind of holds it up, and they're able to kind of finally navigate the patient on his mattress around the iron bed. And so they kind of set him on the ground, still outside the room, and end up just manually shoving the mattress in through the doorway and then kind of climbing over it and pulling it the rest of the way into the small isolation room. The patient is septic, so he's covered in sweat, and these guys are all now in this hot little room. They're covered in sweat. Dr. Borbor's mask actually slips down over his mouth at one point. Dr.
Mugula reaches over to adjust Dr. Borbor's mask, but he snaps at him and says, "Have Brisbane do it, since he's already touched the patient."
It's a mess.
Before they remove their gowns, the patient dies. It had been just 40 minutes since Dr. Mugula first learned about the Ebola patient. The custodians and the two doctors removed their gear inside the isolation room.
And we marched them all over to a sink, and they essentially spend the next, 5 or 10 minutes just really, really scrubbing as best they can, washing their hands and re-washing their hands and washing their arms and, splashing water on their face and really trying to decontaminate it as best they can.
Their best was not good enough.